develop. So very much this is a group process. It's imperative that everyone participate, provide their perspective. We all come in with a little bit different perspective and come up with a plan that's going to really be a model for everyone else to use. So if we come up with a good model, we will be we'll be very well thought of. If we come up with a bad model, we won't be.
We'll have a learning experience.
Yeah.
That's right. But again, we've got a great group set up both in this room, and also we have a number of members outside this room who weren't able to arrive today. So I think you'll see from our roster, we have the tools to make this happen. So with that, thank you all for participating.
Thank you, Adam. And Tanner is someone who's worked directly with the tribes. Did you want to add anything to that before?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I've been with our ILC for 15 years. I was hired as the branch manager to open up the Ukiah office and start services, serving independent living services to Lake and Mendocino County. So, and then over the years, obviously, with I wore different hats and did different programs, and so in the last few years, one of the programs that I've been doing is the Client Assistance Program, which I believe everybody in here knows what it is, except for perhaps Barbara through Rural Indian Health. But the Client Assistance Program, I'm an advocate, and so basically the area that I cover is the Department of Rehabilitation's, actually Peter is the DA for this district, but the Redwood Empire District. So it is the 10-county area of Napa, Sonoma, Mendocino Lake, Humboldt, Del Norte, Trinity, Siskiyou, Shasta, and Tehama. So once I started, covering those areas, I mean, obviously, even if it's for the Client Assistance Program and for our CAP contract and within the Red District, obviously, we have two. We also have two of the four tribal VR programs. So I also work with their clients and staff through CAP. If clients have or people are potential clients of either service or either program, and if they have a problem or general questions or concerns or whatever, then I usually help them through the process. Or if they want to file appeals, So basically with the CAP though, it opened, up 10 other counties and obviously a lot of different tribal communities within, so basically covering Northern California. So one of the things also that I wanted to do though, before we start with Yale, I want to make sure I've sent out emails before when we first started planning this particular meeting for September 9th. But you all received your hard copy manuals that leave no one behind and accessing Native Americans with disabilities. And with the manuals, and I also emailed out a few of you the PDF versions, but with the manuals also came a list of questions. And there was if anybody doesn't have the list of questions, I did bring some extras. But,
I have a couple down there.
Okay.
I did do my homework.
So also with the list of questions, yes, with the list of questions and actually with the manuals. Okay, so via email before April's meeting and somewhere in May or June, I also had emailed out, and again, it was an email, but it was a page of links for everybody to review and, or at least look at, you know, the independent living history and philosophy and culture.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously we, in this room, we have 3 IL directors, so that was a little strange sending it to you all, but
That's okay.
that's okay.
Works.
So basically then, what I'd like to do, and since it's almost lunchtime also though, what I'd like to do is to start, we'll start with the questions maybe after or as we go around, but what I'd like to do is to go around again and state what your agency is, what counties you serve, and what your experience is, like if you're an IL, working with the tribal communities or programs, and then the opposite for the tribal representatives here, what your experience has been, if any, working with independent living centers, or if this is the first time you're hearing about independent living centers. I think it would be a good thing to talk about right now, especially following the enthusiastic, presentation and information that was shared, specifically for the AT program through CF. Because again, all the ILCs offer, different services, and then there's the certain contracts through AT. So why don't we start with actually, well, and Kim, you already shared basically though with CFILC hasn't had much interaction with the tribal communities, basically then.
Yeah, just through outreach,
Right.
and powwows, not a lot.
Okay, so Ms. Joe,
Again, my organizational name is Independent Living Resource Center, and we serve 3 counties in the sort of southern central area, Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis. I have 4 offices, one in Ventura, our headquarters in Santa Barbara, a small one in Santa Maria, and one in Atascadero. We have had some, but not what I would consider in-depth interaction with the tribes in our area. For the most part, the most known is the Chumash. They of course have a casino, so anytime you approach, on some level they're going like, oh yeah, smell money. But we've worked through the Indian Health Clinic. I was offered the opportunity to be involved in the American Indian Advisory Committee that was a Department of Rehabilitation sponsored and originated group that met and was involved in the planning and execution of the powwow in Santa Fe, LA area that both him and I were present for. And I was there as a SILT representative while I was on the SILT at that point. And we were able to get some funding to flow to that group for awareness building, resource building. The powwow was one of the big ones, and what we did was to create a sort of coexistent resource fair. And then there were a whole lot of opportunities, and we weren't very well inclusive, well attended for our piece of it until Kim went out into the wilds there. But that's about the extent of it. I mean, we do have a powwow that really, I guess, is not, from what I understand, is not something that the Chumash did originally. It's more like a plains activity, but it becomes a sort of a way to interact. I'm also involved with AIM, which is the American Indian Movement chapter in Santa Barbara, who is putting up some sort of oral history stuff on public television and trying to, and I've been working with them to make their stuff more accessible and make sure a contact that I have with the grant-making Social Justice Foundation. So that's the extent of my involvement.
okay.
It doesn't feel like in-depth involvement yet.
So as far as offering like your ILC services, you guys then don't have necessarily like a particular staff person or?
No,
you know,
I'd like to have that. I mean, I do have a staff person who tells me she's Native American, but she doesn't identify culturally, and So it's not a conduit we can use. But yes, I would like to, in the same way we have people with psychiatric disabilities offering services with people who are deaf, and I would like that to be a way in which we could reach out, but haven't managed that yet.
Okay. And Barbara with rural health?
What was the question? I wanted to talk about the.
Well, so what experience have either you had or CRIB had, if any, working with the independent living centers or, yeah?
I don't think we have much that I've heard of, you know. In my department, I work in the Family and Community Health Department, and we have, you know, basically our stuff is written on grants. We have tobacco money. We have SAMHSA money for treatment, you know, treatment for drug and alcohol. We have nutrition services. We have, like I said, I'm doing injury prevention. We also have, we have quite a few services within our department, but you know, we really have never, we have social wellness, so we do like women's conference, wellness and disease prevention, those kind of things. So we really don't have, we've never really, that I know of, really focused on.
Okay, or known about then, it sounds like, obviously, yeah, for a lack of knowledge, and the different Indian health clinics and programs that you guys oversee or participate in the Rural Indian Health Board. Actually, how many tribes or clinics is it that?
Well, they say we serve approximately 33 tribes, right, something like that. And we're located in like Tulare, Modoc, Mariposa, Amador, Calaveras, Humboldt, Sonoma. We have some affiliates with like, I don't have my map in front of me, but we're connected with a lot of people in California. We don't really work right in Sacramento, even though we're located in Sacramento, we don't serve any tribes right around us, really. We work closely with the SNAC, which is the Sacramento Native American Health Center. So we're connected well with a lot of California. But we don't really have any focus on independent living.
Or wasn't aware of, and like the different independent living centers or services then obviously within all of these.
Right,
these
I kind of was very unaware of that.
Okay.
So that's why I was saying we're having a board meeting and we should have someone from, you know, someone come up and help. Either we can get you on the agenda or you can do a booth or something we can share.
Or like CFILC, we did go over it.
Yeah.
Okay, and Greg, what about your guys' book rehab program? I know I've spoken to you all individually basically about, you know, if your program ever refers your clients to, you know, your local independent living center, or who helps or assists clients with whether it's housing issues or benefits issues, you know, those types of things.
Well, actually, I guess I should start off by saying I'm not voc rehab trained, but I was brought into the program to work with individuals with psychiatric diagnosis, because that's what I was doing, working in a psychiatric hospital doing groups and co-occurring groups, therapeutic groups. And then after a couple of years with the program as a director, as a counselor, then I became the director, and I started to learn more and more and more about voc rehab in itself, as well as the resources. And I found out about some of the resources when I had to start doing the reporting, and one of them was the independent living services. And I had nobody, because I didn't really know the other guys very well, I had nobody to ask except the district. And so I've been just trying to get myself more and more familiar in how we could get that to work with our population. So that's one of the reasons why I felt it was kind of important that I come here, because I think it's a big resource that the program has never accessed. When I looked at all the past reporting, you know, RSA always asks specific questions about specific agencies. One of them is Department of Rehab, one of them is the independent living, and I've never